The battle of gods and mortals is finally at hand. Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black has arrived, and just like we've seen previously, Vegeta is laying on the ground with his face in the dirt after being stabbed by Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black. As on today's video, we are going to go over Dragon Ball Super episode 56's English dub episode and sharing our thoughts and opinions as to what we saw from Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black's debut and how we felt about the episode entirely. So hold on to your Dragon Balls and strap on tight, because we are going to be diving into Dragon Ball Super episode 56's English dub next. If you are new to this channel and enjoy what you see, then don't forget to punch that subscribe button and turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon to receive new and daily content on your mobile devices, desktops, and services that I provide, along with following me on these social media platforms to stay connected with me at all times. Thank you so much for your continued support. Now let's begin. With Dragon Ball Super episode 56's English dub in the history books, I wanted to go over and give you guys my initial thoughts and reaction upon seeing the debut of Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black in the English dub, as I do want to go on ahead and talk about the script changes and how I personally felt about Goku Black's new voice in the anime, which is actually very different in comparison to Goku Black's voice in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, which I do personally think is much more impressive, seeing Goku Black's Super Saiyan Rose voice debut during episode 56 in the English dub in comparison to what we saw in Xenoverse 2. Now, I have grown to really like the Dragon Ball Super English dub, with of course being so adjusted to the Dragon Ball Super original subbed version. It's not essentially about which version of the show is better, whether that be subbed or dubbed. For me personally, I do enjoy the subbed version a lot more than the dubbed version. However, I will give the dubbed version credit in their attempts to try to stick by the script word for word as they carry on through the Goku Black story. Now, seeing Sean Schimmel's performance and seeing how he performed as Goku Black during Dragon Ball Super episode 56, to me was very well done in his execution of being mysterious and devious, until of course we see the debut of Super Saiyan Rose in the show. Now, if you pay close attention, the obvious accent is there for Goku Black having the British accent that kind of resonates with Zamasu. However, it's not heavily noticeable as we saw during Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, as we heard Goku Black's voice in that version of the game and having to speak more like this and sounding more like Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black. But here, we get to see a bit of a difference in his tone, in keeping more or less the Goku voice aspect, but kind of adding an accent to that. Now, of course, I really do wish that Sean Schimmel had never have added the accent to begin with, but of course, with creative freedom, Sean Schimmel has chosen to do whatever Sean Schimmel wants to do. And to some people, they may look at that as being a detriment to the character, but of course to Sean, that's his version and the way he portrays and having to envision what Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black means to him. Now, there were obvious changes in the script, as of course you can tell when Goku Black was transforming. In the subbed version, Trunks would say Black's color, whereas opposed to the English dub, we get to hear how Trunks says he's changing, so the difference is there, alongside the speech that Goku Black gives to Goku, which isn't entirely same, but more or less follows the same concept, in Goku Black having to achieve a higher power than Goku could ever achieve, with of course slight differences in the script change, as we hear in the English sub when Zamasu first appears and saying that's enough, I will not allow you to act as you like any more than that, whereas opposed to the English dub, all Zamasu really says is coming down, I will not allow you to act on your own any further, which again, the concept of this is more or less the same, as I do believe that this episode really did attempt to follow the script, because after having to watch Dragon Ball Super episode 56's subbed version, you get to see bit by bit how they attempted to really stick by the script and following it word for word, even though there were slight alterations to the wording. But I will say, James Marsters as Zamasu is absolutely amazing in my opinion, in his execution in the way Zamasu speaks, in his demeanor. I do feel like James does add a little bit of depth to Zamasu, especially when he came down and speaking to Goku Black, which of course was a very iconic moment for everyone in realizing that of course future Zamasu and Goku Black were two entirely different characters, even though they were one and the same. James Marsters did a great job, I think, in the end of having to come down from the heavens and speaking to Goku Black, which of course I did notice how in the sub Zamasu went on to say, "We had a deal, I get to be the one to finish Son Goku," whereas in the dub Zamasu comes down and saying, "I thought we had an agreement," and further saying, "Wasn't I supposed to be the one to have the honors in destroying him?" Never mentioning Son Goku by name. Again, changes to the script, I don't think it's too far off, and again, this is not a battle of dubbed versus subbed, it's whatever you want to prefer as a fan, and that predates going back to Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, the original Dragon Ball. So for me, I did notice the changes. I didn't really mind it too much because it's not like they went entirely off script, but I really did notice the change in the quality of the audio. And if you go back and watch the subbed variation and the dubbed variations of both shows, you can clearly notice the increase in the quality of the microphone work in terms of audio, more or less in the dubbed version than the subbed. But again, that's not really here or there, but I did notice how the dub actually has an increase when it comes down to audio quality. That's just me. If you guys want to judge the audio quality for yourself, then go on ahead and just really pay attention to the mic work between the sub and the dub, and you'll notice the distinct difference there. But I really do enjoy watching the English dub weekly because it brings you back. Even though Dragon Ball Super is over, it brings you back to the time when we were all wondering and speculating as to who Goku Black was, what was the connection made between him and Zamasu, and I really do enjoy, even as a kid in watching Dragon Ball Z's English dub and the original Dragon Ball show, I'm really appreciative in seeing the English dub on television now, especially on Toonami, in watching one of my favorite arcs in Dragon Ball Super and now having the grand reveal of Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black. It's going to be more or less interesting to see what they're going to do when Goku Black and Zamasu fuse. I'm very curious how they're going to execute that, if he's going to have some sort of an accent behind his voice, or if he's more or less going to sound like the Zamasu character we have now and nothing more. That's going to be more or less interesting because in the subbed variation, he sounded more or less like Zamasu than how he did Goku Black, which only makes sense because they're one and the same. So for me, I cannot wait to hear that, as of course Super Saiyan Blue Vegito, which is coming in about, I would say, a few episodes or so, in just about a few weeks, which as a fan, I'm very excited to see how Vegito is going to sound, which goes back a very long time for me because I've always loved Vegito in Dragon Ball Z, and I did enjoy Vegito in Dragon Ball Kai in seeing the synchronization in terms of what he said in the dub as opposed to how he was portrayed in the sub. And for me, I cannot wait to see how they're going to portray Vegito in Dragon Ball Super when that happens, alongside seeing merge Zamasu's voice and his lines and having to hear him cry out "Son Goku" and having to even call out Vegito in being a weakling mortal and then having to fight Trunks after that. So there's not much left until we go into the filler arc and then the Tournament of Power. Only a few weeks left. I'm gonna have to say once we kick into the summer, that's when we're gonna get the grand finale of this arc. But overall, Dragon Ball Super Episode 56, Dragon Ball Super Episode 55, Dragon Ball Super Episode 54, so far the dub I have been enjoying. The only thing I could not stand was seeing one of Goku Black's lines a couple of episodes prior and saying "get in my tummy" and stuff like that. There are certain things about the dub that I don't think necessarily fit, especially after having to watch the subbed. So I do think that Rose Goku Black's voice in this dub is a lot better than how we saw in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, because in Xenoverse 2 he sounds more British, and to me it doesn't make any sense. And I think that more or less, in my opinion, Goku Black's voice should have been the same as his base voice the entire way through. Even though I'm not a fan of the accent, more or less it's tolerable as we saw in this episode, but I still think that just like Nozawa had done in the sub, I think that Sean Schemmel should have kept Goku the way he was in terms of portraying his voice the same as Goku Black's base as he transformed into Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black. That's just my personal opinion. I don't get why he has the accent, and I don't really recall on the top of my head right now any other character who had transformed before or after during the course of Dragon Ball that had an accent after a transformation. I just more or less wish that Goku Black never had that accent to begin with. However, it's not as thick and it's not as noticeable, I would have to say, as we saw in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, which is essentially a good thing. However, in my opinion, I'm gonna have to say the subbed version is slightly better, even though this dubbed version was pretty good. Unlike episodes prior to where they dropped the ball a few times, this was actually really enjoyable. So I highly encourage you guys to tune into Toonami, go to Funimation.com, and watch the English dub to judge for yourselves. Again, it's not a battle of subbies versus dubbies, because at the end of the day, to me, that doesn't matter. We're all a fan of Dragon Ball collectively and universally together. We all have a difference in opinion, but at the end of the day, we're all still here because what? We love Dragon Ball. But in the end, I would like to get your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you guys like the English dub for Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black? What are your thoughts on Zamasu's portrayal in the show? And essentially, what are your overall thoughts on the English dub entirely? Thank you all so very much for watching. If you guys are new to this channel, don't forget to go ahead and slap that subscribe button. Turn on all notifications by clicking on that bell icon, because YouTube nowadays tends to not notify subscribers of videos. So if you guys want to be up to date with cool videos, discussions, reviews, make sure you guys click on that bell icon. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all other social media outlets. I will leave links to those down in the description box below. Thank you all so very much for your time. Thank you all so much for watching. Tune back in for more, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys down in the comment section below. Have a great day, everybody. Peace. Cue my outro, bitch.